Hello lovelies, it's Adele from Crow with the Flow. Today I'm going to teach you how to make your plushie stand out by creating crocheted eyes. There are so many reasons why you might want to choose crochet eyes for your next plushie. You might be gifting something to a baby and safety eyes aren't appropriate. You might not be able to access safety eyes or the specific safety eyes that you want. You might just want your things to look a little bit different from everybody else's. Whatever the case, these are a really great option. As long as you know how to do color changes, this one is pretty straightforward. There's a couple of reasons why these eyes in particular are really great. The first being you can completely adjust what size you create. So I'm going to talk to you about how you might do that. You obviously can change the colors that you use to suit your particular project. Another brilliant thing about these eyes is you can add them to basically any crochet project you like. An octopus or a koala or a fish or a bumblebee or an echidna, whatever you like. Don't forget to save this video for the next time you need to put eyes on your amigurumi. So come with me and I'll show you how to make these. I've listed the materials that you'll need here, so pause to look at that in more detail, but the most important thing is getting those 3 shades of the same colour. I've chosen blues. To get started, we're going to grab our black yarn and complete 8 single crochet stitches into our magic ring. And I'm assuming you know how this goes, so we're going to speed things up just a little bit, and I'll meet you back at the end of this row. Once we've finished that first row, we're going to pull the magic ring closed and get started on row 2. Row 2 is a really straightforward increase in each stitch, but there's lots of colour changes, so I'm going to step you through each individual colour. The first increase we work in with the black yarn, so that's 2 single crochet stitches in that first stitch, and of course don't forget to put in your stitch marker to make sure that you know where the start of the row is. Then we're moving to the white yarn. So attach your white yarn in the last movement of that increase, and don't forget to work over the tails just to make sure that your yarn is very securely attached. As you can see, we're doing an increase with the white yarn, and then in that last movement again, we're changing back to the black yarn, and then to do another increase in black. After we've finished that black increase, we're working with the light blue yarn. So change it again in that last movement and complete an increase in light blue yarn. Again, working over those tails. Sometimes you will find that your magic ring has come a little bit loose, so give it a really big pull and that should close it up. Now we're changing to our medium blue yarn in that last movement and working 1 increase into the next stitch with that medium blue. And after that increase, we're bringing in our dark blue yarn, so attach that there and complete 1 increase with the dark blue yarn. The final colour change of row 2 is back to our black yarn, and we're going to be working 2 increases to finish off that row. As I mentioned earlier, this eye style is really adaptable. So if you only really need a small eye, you can actually stop the increases at this point and work black slip stitches in each stitch around before fastening off. But if you want a bigger eye, let's keep going. Row 3, we're going to do single crochet increase all the way around, but with lots of color changes again. The first is obviously black. We're going to do single crochet increase, and don't forget to put your stitch marker in. And now we're changing to the white yarn to do single crochet increase into those white stitches that are already there. And now we change to our black yarn. With the black yarn, we're going to do a single crochet increase here. Now, technically, I should be working over the tails of my white yarn just to secure them, but I didn't. Don't be like me, work over your tails. And then we're going to change to our light blue yarn. In the final movement of that black, we're doing single crochet increase again. And changing once again to medium blue and doing single crochet increase in the medium blue stitches. And change to the dark blue yarn, doing a single crochet increase into those stitches. All right, we are on to our last color change. So we want to pick up our black yarn and change that there. We're going to do 2 lots of single crochet increase in the black to finish up row 3. So once again, you've got the opportunity that if you need bigger eyes, you can actually keep going using the same pattern. So the next row would be 2 single crochets, then an increase, and using the same color patterns. But we're going to finish it up here. You've probably got a bunch of yarns still attached, so we're going to trim off those ends. We need to make sure that we keep the length of the black yarn though, so don't trim that off. And then we're going to do slip stitches in the black yarn all the way around the eye. So for this particular sized eye, that's 18 slip stitches. Once again, I'm pretty sure you know what a slip stitch looks like, so we're going to skip ahead to the end of row 4. Then once you've finished the final slip stitches of row 4, sit back and marvel at the fact that you've just made a crochet eye. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Obviously, we're fastening off the black yarn with a bit of length because we're going to need that to sew it onto the head. And then we need to make our second eye. And the second eye is basically the exact same as the first, but we're reversing the colors. And as you can see with this example, that just means starting with the dark blue instead of the light blue. As a final step to make sure the eye is perfectly circular, we're going to do an invisible fasten off. And all that means is we take our threaded tapestry needle, we count forward 2 stitches from where we fastened off. You put the needle under both bars of the stitch, pulling it through, and then in the back loop only of where we'd fastened that yarn off to create like a fake stitch basically. Now that you've made the eyes, it's really important to think about how you're actually sewing them on because that can make or break what the eyes look like. So let me show you. First things first, we want to pin the eyes in place so that they're exactly where we want them, but also so that they don't move around when we're sewing them on. Secondly, we want to make sure the stitches are right next to the eye. We want to make sure the eye sits flat, but we don't want to actually be able to see the stitches. And we're using what's called a ladder stitch to stitch the eye in place. So we go underneath both bars of a stitch on the eye, then we U-turn and go under the bars of the next stitch along before we work back into the head. And showing you that again, so through the stitch, turning around and working into the next stitch along before we work back in the head again. The reason I use a ladder stitch is because it helps maintain that circular shape and means that the stitches that we're completing to sew it on don't bleed into the head, which often happens, especially I find when you're using cotton and working onto a plush yarn, it can kind of make it a bit fuzzy. Then you just do this in each stitch around and you end up with some really gorgeous, well-defined circular eyes. I really hope you found this tutorial useful and that you're able to now create your very own crocheted eyes. Don't forget to save this video to use in the future, like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again soon.